Hello to all of you watching us on Rumble, wherever you're from, wherever you've been, whatever the hell it is you've done, you're welcome here. We give you the news that the news won't give you. We give you insights on the news that they simply won't reveal, and we point out silly stuff that they have said as well. What happens if you challenge dominant power is that Elon Musk, because of his unique cultural position, he's basically a one-man country, isn't he? Like, he's richer than some little countries. In the future, countries will become corporatized, that, you know, you'd have a whole country sponsored by Apple, and I bet you will. Actually, on this channel, we do believe in the possibility of some kind of global revolution. These are things you have to consider if you are interested in challenging real power, and believe me, power is real, because later on the show, I'm talking to Stella Assange, wife of Julian Assange, and, like, you know, some of you will be old enough to remember, based on the chat, some of you are too old to control your memory or to contain it, at least. And, like, you know, Julian Assange was a hero initially with WikiLeaks. He was sort of like the white-haired rock god of hackers. And then he was smeared and slandered and is now in Belmarsh prison, like charged with espionage. It's presented legally. It's a sort of a binary situation. You can have a trial. He'll either be proven guilty, not guilty. And he revealed the war crimes of America and other complicit nations. And there was a CIA plot to assassinate him. You can't extradite someone to a country that's sort of said they're going to assassinate him. So, like, a figure like Elon Musk, because of his enormous power, Assange, because of those revelations, both these figures, I think, in their own way, reveal that there is such a thing as dominant power. Elon Musk is so powerful that he can say, well, look, do we want a diplomatic solution to this situation between Russia and Ukraine? It's likely to be this. And Zelensky will respond online.
We know about the influence of UK and the US within Ukraine.
Like for example, it's alleged that Boris Johnson slowed down imminent peace talks.
I think the accusation is that he told him not to enter peace talks.
Don't do a peace talk. Why not? There's a war. Peace talks is exactly what you should do. No. That's sort of more or less what happened. Exactly. I'm prey-seeing. Putin signs Ukraine annexation laws amid military setback. So he's sort of simultaneously annexing places and militarily retreating. Is that right?
Well, he's suffering setbacks, certainly. I mean, the Ukraine say that they're retaking certain cities, but he's signed the final papers, and the regions are apparently accepted into the Russian Federation now, the documents say.
So he's saying, like, I've annexed that,
I've done
that's all annexed?
Yeah, even though it doesn't seem like he's in control of them. Which is a bold claim, isn't it, to make?
That's mine now. Bagseed.
I think it's mainly because that handshake thing he did the other day. He just kind of has to. He can't come back from that.
He can't back off on that five-way boy band, the Backstreet Boy handshake now.
No.
It would be embarrassing. Google teams up with UN for verified climate information. The UN's preference that when you Google climate change, certain stories come up. There's no climate change, what they would say climate change denial.
We own the science, was what Melissa Fleming, Undersecretary for Global Communications at the UN, said.
We're going to have a deeper look at that later this week. In a sense, we want to look at the implications of that, the idea that there's collaboration between big tech and the UN. Whether you agree with climate change or don't, let me know in the chat below. That's something we'll be looking at in more depth. Biden has told officials on a trip to Florida, no one fucks with a Biden. Don't look at Hunter's laptop, is what I'll say, because you might see evidence to the contrary there.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for coming down. We appreciate it. I'll pick the food. No one. Yeah, goddamn right. I can't argue with you, brothers.
With Joe Biden, I think we all know now he's a bit forgetful. So I think he's sometimes reaching for stuff. Like when he's doing those jokes that are meant to be owning his older age, he ends up saying weird things like, I was 30, she was 12. No, what? No, there's context. OPEC tries to keep prices high and cuts output by 2 million barrels in a move that Biden calls unnecessary. Biden pledged to make Saudi Arabia a pariah if he got into government, but then he did go there a bit and be double friendly with Saudi Arabians because of geopolitical necessities. Again, this is how power really operates. There's necessary rhetoric when you're campaigning, and then geopolitical realities kick in. The fact is there are certain petrodollar and economic relationships that have to be conserved. So whilst it might be plausible to say stuff when you're running for election, you can't make good on those kind of promises within that system.
That's it. Well, it didn't work anyway because Saudi Arabia are part of OPEC Plus, and they're the plus part. Apparently.
They're the plus.
They're the plus part.
They're not OPEC.
No, they're the plus part. So this is the world's...
It's like Cosby steals Nash and Young.
That's
like
it.
Young's actually the best bit.
He is. I don't know what you're implying there.
Yeah, like that Saudi Arabia, even though they're just the plus, they've got a lot of clout.
Yeah.
Like Young, I've got a lot of songs.
So anyway, this is the world's top oil producing countries who've agreed to cut the amount they export in a decision which will raise prices around the world. So they're saying it's doing it to basically make sure that the prices don't keep going up, to kind of stabilize oil prices. But obviously Biden's seeing this as a kind of slight on America.
Also, I suppose this is something that we have to consider in the context of this ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and also whether or not the Nord Stream 2...
Not Nord Stream 1, is it?
That's a perfectly good pipeline, that's still fine. Nord Stream 2 pipeline has it been sabotaged, or did it just accidentally break? Certainly, resources and energy are a component in this ongoing crisis, and loads of you will want to see again Jeffrey Sachs, an American academic and professor at Columbia University, just sort of overtly stating that he thinks America does it. Like, even if you've seen this clip, it's worth watching it again. Mostly because of Jeffrey Sachs's chided face. Now we know what Jeffrey Sachs looks like when he's told off, and potentially in a whole range of other situations.
To make it definitive, the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, which I would bet was a U.S. action, perhaps U.S. and Poland. This is speculation.
Jeff, we got to stop there. That's quite a statement as well.
Why is he like... Oh, that's a really lovely little face he's done there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he really didn't want to be told off.
Yeah. I think he's just a bit surprised about the guy who's telling him off.
Well, he is. He's a surprising guy. Look at him.
Why do you feel...
Absolutely.
Like, what's that look?
Well, he's gone back to the 1920s or something.
That's outrageous. You don't need to look like that in those mad glasses, in that tight... Your glasses are too big, your bow tie's too small, your microphone's from 100 years ago.
I think his reaction was just like, that's the first time he saw him. He thought, what?
I've been interviewed from the past.
Yeah.
He is able, however, to back up his accusation in a number of ways that make it seem pretty plausible.
that was a U.S. action. What evidence do you have of that?
Well, first of all, there's direct radar evidence that U.S. Helicopters, military helicopters that are normally based in Gdansk, were circling over this area. We also had the threats from the United States earlier in this year that one way or another, we are going to end Nord Stream. We also have a remarkable statement by Secretary Blinken last Friday in a press conference. He says, this is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a strange way to, it's a strange way to talk.
It is a strange way.
Yeah, it is. But other than that...
Yeah, but aside from, come on, you're really clutching at straws now. Stop it. Yeah.